What's going on, everybody? I'm Fearless, and today we're covering all of the little steps that it takes to make amazing boom bap beats in your DAW. And make sure to watch this video all the way through because we're going to be covering all kinds of sauce to make boom bap beats. And if you can sit tight and get through the whole thing, I can promise that you're going to be an expert by the end of it. Now let's jump right into it. All great boom bap beats start with a fire sample, so the first thing we need to do is find ourselves a sample. The best places to find these samples are on Splice, TrackLib, on YouTube, and in sample packs from reputable sources. But today, we're gonna be using Splice. And if you guys wanna try out Splice free for 14 days, I do have a link below, and you can also get the best deals using that as well. Now, I went ahead and found a sample that I'm liking, and this is what it sounds like. And what I love about Splice is you can literally just grab this sample here and drag it right into your DAW. It makes it too easy. So this sample is in 85 BPM, so we are going for 85 BPM. And good BPMs for boom bap beats could be anywhere between maybe 70 and 100 at the highest. So we're gonna play around and see what kind of crazy things we can come up with. The first thing I wanna do is put this into a simpler and start splicing up the sample. What you can do in Ableton is make a MIDI track and then go ahead and drag the sample onto it like you see, and it'll go ahead and place it in a simpler for you. Then what you can do from there is go to Splice over here, and you have some different ways that you can slice it. Now, I used to use transient a lot and go by the sensitivity here, but recently the better way that I found is to actually go by the beats in the song. When you go by beats, you can pick the different divisions that you want to use. Maybe 1/4 or 1/8 would work very well. But for this to work well, you're going to need to make sure that either your sample's in time or you went ahead and warped it so that it's stretched out and it fits your BPM well. Otherwise, this timing isn't gonna work well and you might need to go for the transients option. All right, and once you got simpler set up, you can just start playing on your keyboard and it's gonna play a chunk of it. So from here, I'd recommend that you go ahead and put your metronome on and then you start playing around until you come up with a pattern that you like. All right, so this is what we came up with. Alright guys, I just made some minor changes, so I basically kept it how it was right here, except I took this note up instead of this one, because it has like a cool trumpet playing in the background. And then on this one, at the same exact spot, I just went up some notes instead, and it just gives it some variation. Let's check it out. So we're also going to use the original sample how it is in some instances, but we have this as a variation to change up and keep it interesting all the way through. So I'll have it actually drop into this, but let's keep the regular one as the intro. And something cool that I like to do for my intros is put a halftime effect on them and modulate the dry wet. So let's do that with this. So let's go ahead and modulate this dry or wet right here. Let's go down to the mix. And then what we're going to do is only modulate it at the very last bar here. We're going to modulate it all the way down, and we might even do a little bit of a dip like this. We're going to see how this works. Actually, let's go ahead and modulate it halfway so that it feels like it's creeping in. Let's see. That's almost perfect. Let's just put it up a little bit more. All right, we might change this later, but we're going to have our splice part play first, and then we're going to go back into the original, and then we're going to go ahead and go an octave down on both of them. So in this sample, we're going to go ahead and go in, make sure it's on complex, and we're going to go down -12 on the pitch, and let's go ahead and color it white as well so we know that that is the lower pitched one. All right, let's go ahead and make a duplicate of this track, and then we're going to freeze and flatten that one so that we don't lose the MIDI if we decide to change it or something later. And what we'll do is we'll just turn this track off completely and we'll just hide it up at the top just in case we need to go back and edit anything. And here we have the flattened bunch. So we'll leave the first one as it is. And we'll take this second one and we're going to pitch it down just like we did with the other one. Remember, we're going to go to complex mode and we're going to go down -12 in pitch. Let's also go to this other one and just make sure it's in complex so everything's good to go. Don't forget to make this one white because we know that it's down an octave. And we're going to go ahead and chop some of the lows out of this as well. I'm actually gonna raise some of the highs in this as well. All right, now let's throw some effects on the original one so it's not just the same sample. And we're going to use this sample machine effect rack that I made a while ago, and you can get it for free on the website, links in the description below. What this effect rack does is it takes decapitator and cassette, and it goes ahead and makes a sample vintage sort of effect. This is what it sounds like with it on. And this is without it. We'll turn it on. It's amazing, and you got all these different controls over here. So like I said, if you want that, link in the description below. All right, now let's move on to these drums. Now I found this drum loop that I really like, but we're just gonna steal the snare from it, and this is what it sounds like. All right, now you could put this on an audio track and get just the snare, but I also put this in MIDI here. I dragged the loop in, and I just separated this snare, so now when we play it, it just plays the snare drum. Awesome, so we got a basic pattern for the snare. We're gonna take everything and move it off the grid just a little bit. And we're gonna do that for every single one of these drums. They're gonna be off the grid, and that's what's gonna give it that groove and that bounce. Now, if you're looking for some dope boom bap drum kits, you can go with Cookin' Soul or Butcha. Those guys are like my favorite go-to sounds. All right, and for these hi-hats, we're gonna be playing this on the keyboard because it's really important to get the vibe and the swing down by hand. That way the velocities and the timing is realistic. All right, once you go ahead and play it, you can press this button up here, and it's gonna go ahead and save everything you just played. Now, what I'm gonna go do is I'm gonna go through all of this, and I'm gonna pick out my favorite bar. I might tweak it a little bit, and then I'm gonna copy and paste it over to the rest. All right, I like this second bar, so let's go ahead and delete everything else. We're gonna go ahead and bring it to the forefront, and then we're just gonna make sure that nothing is too off time and doesn't sound bad, and if we need to adjust anything, we can do that. Okay, it all sounds good to me. Now what we can do from there is go ahead and copy paste that over, and we know it's all gonna be decently in time, and it's gonna have that swing and that groove. All right, let's go ahead and find a better hi-hat to use, and comment below, would you guys like me to make a boom bap drum kit? I'm all about it, but let me know and I'll go ahead and do it. All right guys, I found this one. It sounds super good, man. Let's hear it. Awesome, we just need a little bit of reverb to really make this fit into the mix. What I'm gonna do is use the hi-hat effect rack from the Blizzard Storm drum kit, which is our new drum kit. I'm gonna double click, and then I'm gonna go ahead and find that hi-hat and put it back in there, because everything will be perfect to go with that. Yes, sir! That's what I'm talking about. Ready to go, baby. All right, now what I like to do with my boom bap beats is find another hi-hat to layer with it. Sometimes I'll play the same notes, or sometimes it might be all of them minus a few. I just like to get another rhythm with a dope hi-hat to kind of back it up. All right, guys, I found this hi-hat loop, and I think it'll be perfect. Let's check it out here. So I really like it. The only thing I want to do is get rid of this second part here. I don't want this open hat that they have in here. In fact, let's just take this second part and we'll duplicate it all the way across. Now let's see how this is sounding with both hi-hats. Versus just one. It needs it. That's exactly why we gotta add a second one. It just fills it in and makes it sound so dirty, so dope. This is already sounding so dope, fam. I'm just too excited right now. Now let's go ahead and find a open hat. Let's try that one just because it's so mean. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're also gonna play this on our keyboard, but we're gonna find a spot that we can play the open hat where it fits in with everything perfectly and it sounds natural. You're right there. Yep. Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. All right, guys, I actually went ahead and pulled this back a quarter of a bar. We had it right here originally, but I think it sounds even better right here. And guys, I can't stress this enough. Always try out different open hats and different hi-hats and different sounds to see what's gonna sound best in the mix, because sometimes you change one sample and the whole beat comes to life, okay? Also, what you want to do is also try out different notes like B or C sharp. Go up and down a couple notes, because sometimes that's all it takes to fit with the other drums. All right, guys, let's go ahead and find one more drum or perk to use, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this kick and bass going. And let's go ahead and use a tom, because that's just a classic, a staple for boom bap beats. Yeah, we're gonna use this tom, just a big old nasty tom. And pretty much all these samples have been from Low Bap Volume 3 from Cookin' Soul. Like I said, my go-to drum kits. Let's go. Alright guys, what I ended up doing is going into simpler right here and only soloing the first tom. I didn't want both of them to play. Just perfect, man. It just fits with everything so damn well. Alright guys, let's go ahead and jump into the kick. But if you're getting value from this video, please smash that like button. It would help me out so much, and it'll get this video moving into other producers' eyes so they can learn from it as well. Guys, if you want to get the project file for this beat or any of our upcoming tutorials, we are putting them all in the members area for the Audio Hacker VIP program. Along with that, you're getting a crazy care package full of samples, drum kits, one-shots, and advanced tutorials that we don't share on YouTube, and you get those every single month. So if you want to get all that and a whole lot more, or you just want to support the channel, you can visit the link in the description below to learn more about the Audio Hacker VIP. Now let's get back into the video. Alright guys, and for the kick, I actually picked out a sample in Splice that I already downloaded before this. I thought it would sound amazing. Let's hear it. Yeah, so that nice little punchy and clean kick is exactly what sounds amazing. And a normal boom bap beat is going to be pretty basic. So it's going to have the snare and the kick. It's going to go kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, right? Boom, bap, boom, boom, bap. But we're going to go ahead and get it a little funky with it. We're going to do that, but maybe go a little slide with it, add a couple notes here or there, and see what we can come up with. That's exactly what I'm talking about, but it needs to be way louder. Yeah, let's go ahead and crank this bad boy up. Yeah, I think we're gonna go all the way up to 12 dB, and you may say, dude, that's super crazy. Yeah, it's going about 6 or 7 over right now. Let's check this out. So some people like to keep the kick and the snare on grid, but not me. I usually like to take everything off at least slightly. So as you can see, we're slightly off the grid with the kick right here, and that's going to ensure that none of our drums are hitting on this same spot. So you have a couple options when it comes to your bass. I'm going to be using the Rickenbacker bass plugin in Contact. That's like my go-to, but you can also use some bass samples from any of your favorite boom bap drum kits. Those will work fine as well. So this is the one I like to go with just because it sounds so clean. Now what we're going to do is we're going to solo just the melody and the bass, so that way we can concentrate on what we're trying to do, and we're going to try to find those root notes first. Alright, that's definitely a G. We can duplicate that over, and now we can start getting our rhythm together. Alright, I like that. Let's also go up a note here. Yes, okay, so we're getting there. Let's go ahead and drag this over a little bit. Alright guys, we kept it super simple. Check this out. And since the melody stops right there, it sounds so good to have that little note off. And what we did is we made it even simpler at the end. Instead of having it do the same thing, we kind of just let it sit on that D. Pause. What the f? Alright guys, and the plugin that I always use on my bass is this Corey Wong plugin, and I picked out the P-Bass preset here. It sounds super clean and super good in the mix. this is pretty much the only thing you need to put on your basses. All right, guys, let's go ahead and clean up this mix just a little bit. We're going to do some basic mixing. The first thing I want to do is do some sidechain EQing with the kick and the bass, just so that when the kick hits, the bass isn't all up in there. And what I'm doing for that is I'm using this FabFilter Pro Q3. All you have to do is click sidechain right here and pick out the kick. Then you go ahead and place a point, and you can pull this down here on the side, press auto, and press boom, and it'll start sidechaining to the kick. If you want to learn how to do that in Ableton dynamically like this, so you don't have to go and draw in each thing, I actually just did a full tutorial on that. I'll leave it at the top of the video right here. Go ahead and check that out next. And remember that we added those toms a while ago. Those toms have some lows in them that sound really good and are going to be important in our mix. So we're going to do this same thing with the toms on the 808. And now we just need to go over to the toms and find what frequency range they're punching at. All right, so it seems like right around here, right at the 120 hertz range. And we're going to do something similar on the melody group, except we're going to be using the glue compressor instead. And the reason we're doing that is instead of just ducking the frequencies, we want it to actually duck the volume when the kick hits. So that way it actually makes more of an impact and allows that kick to shine through even better. So what you can do is go into your glue compressor here, click on sidechain and go to your kick. And then we're going to set a low attack, a low release, and then we're going to put the ratio all the way up. And then all you got to do is play with the threshold. Now we're also going to do the same thing with the snare. So we can go ahead and duplicate this, but maybe not quite as heavy as the kick. So we're going to bring the threshold back down a little bit more. All right, guys, let's go ahead and set up a basic arrangement. And with these boom bap beats, you don't need to do anything too crazy. So let's get into it. We're going to go ahead and just duplicate this over a bunch of times. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take the toms out for the last 8 bars. And I want to go ahead and throw a ride cymbal in here to kind of switch it up. Sounds great. Let's go ahead and try different notes as well. See, this is an instance where the B sounds better than the C to me. So we're just going to have this play in both the last 8 bars and take the toms out. Now, just to switch it up a little bit, I might go ahead and take the bass out right here. And then let's go ahead and take out maybe a little bit here because it's going to go back into the drop at the end of this as well. All right, and also since we're taking out the bass here, let's take out that second hi-hat here as well. So it'll sound a little thinner in this part. All right, guys, so we're going to take a quick listen to our final result. But I first wanted to just thank you guys so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this one, make sure to smash that like button. And also, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe and join the gang. We got tutorials like this all the time, and we ain't stopping anytime soon, baby. And guys, always remember that consistency is the biggest catalyst for success, and all you gotta do is show up every day with a positive mentality, and everything in this world is yours for the taking. Now let's give this bad boy a listen.